Welcome to 12 ways to get paid for speaking without taking cash. Now, that doesn't mean we don't like to have cash. There are many situations when what you might be earning is more valuable than the actual speaking fee. This is Patricia Fripp, past president of the National Speakers Association, founder of Fripp Virtual Training, and the lady of the Lady and the Champ Speaking Conference, which is coming up in Las Vegas in February. I am a past president of the National Speakers Association, and when I first turned up in 1977, my first convention, Bill Gove, who was the first president of NSA, was talking about when he attended a Sales and Marketing Executives Club meeting and heard a magnificent speaker, Kenneth McFarland. And he went up to him and said, "Dr. McFarland, I want to speak." And Dr. McFarland said, "Then speak." He did not say, "Speak for a fee, speak if it's convenient, speak if it's a large audience." He just said, "Speak." And you are in for a treat. I am interviewing Bryan Caplovitz, who is the president of SpeakersMatch, which is a very unique service for meeting planners, partnering them with speakers, and for speakers, especially emerging speakers who are looking for the first opportunities and are very happy to accept lower or free engagements. Before I introduce you to Bryan, and he will be the star of this event, let me introduce you to Paul, who is a very important part of our trio. He will tell you how to ask your questions and answer the polls. So take it away, Paul.
Hello everyone. On the right hand side of your screen you'll see a chat window. Within that chat window you can ask your short specific questions that will be answered during the call. Also in that same area we'll be doing polls throughout the call. Once you click your yes or no answer and then select vote, please click the chat tab to return to the chat. Thank you.
In fact, let's start by asking you a question. Are you an emerging speaker? And this is however you define yourself as an emerging speaker. So I encourage you to you fill in the poll, yes or no, just so that we can personalize this event for you. Now let's introduce you to the president of SpeakersMatch. Welcome, Bryan Caplovitz.
Thank you, Ms. Fripp.
You founded SpeakersMatch out of a real need that existed in the marketplace based on your own experience. So for those who might not be familiar with SpeakersMatch, can you tell us that story?
Well, yeah, basically, I needed a place to speak, and I didn't know where to look. Back when I was getting started, I was speaking on very technical issues like database development, and my boss told me that I could earn a bonus if I found some places to speak. But I really didn't know where to go, so I made a lot of phone calls, I talked to a lot of people, and tried to make connections wherever I could, find out where people were having events. I tried to find out if they had the kinds of events that needed a speaker like me, and then I needed to find out if they actually needed a speaker for that event. And it was a very tedious, time-consuming process. And during that process, I realized that there are a lot of meeting planners that are looking for speakers, and they didn't know where to look. So because of my technical background, I kind of brought the two together.
Perfect. Good. By now we should know about our audience. So Paul, how many of our audience, and I know we have 300 people who registered, some will be watching this as a replay, which means you won't be able to answer the poll. But those people who are like Paul, how many are emerging speakers?
84% are emerging speakers.
Good. Wonderful. So Bryan, let's take it away with you. One, what is the first way to get compensated without accepting cash?
Okay, well, actually, you mentioned something very important. When most people think of getting paid, they think about one thing, and that's cash.
Yeah.
But there are many other ways that you can get paid for speaking or get compensated for speaking other than cash. And I think that it's also important for people to realize, especially if you're an emerging speaker, that many of the top speakers in the National Speakers Association are speaking for free.
Oh,
and
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, the National Speakers Association actually does an annual survey of their members, and in their last survey, they found that about 80% of speakers are speaking for free at least once spoken for free at least once during the previous year, and about 20% are speaking for free between 5 and 10 times in a year. And why do they do that? Because it's great marketing, and there's really just no way to develop your reputation as a speaker than to be seen speaking. It makes perfect sense.
Great. And you are right. There are certainly groups that I have accepted engagements for that are more valuable to me than getting my normal speaking fee.
So you are knowledgeable on the subject matter, and you have gained the confidence to be in front of hundreds of people, but now comes the time that you actually have to figure out how you can start making money. And when you're first getting started, especially, it can be very difficult to figure out how to get started. And speaking for free is really the way that most people tell me that they're getting started. So that's why I've come up with these 12 tips, because that's probably one of the most common questions I get asked is, how do you get started? And if I'm going to speak for free, how is that going to be worthwhile? So the first tip that I have is to ask for a professional quality videotape. And a videotape, if you want to get a professional quality tape, it can be very expensive if you're paying for it out of pocket. It could cost hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But if you tell a meeting planner that you are willing to speak for free in exchange for a professional quality video, it is a win-win. It's very low cost to them. They often have the resources in-house to provide this to you, and it is a very big benefit for you because of the potential cost savings. You actually may end up making money on the deal by having them provide you with the service of the video, the professional quality video. And if a meeting planner is hiring you, if you're looking to get hired, a videotape is the next best thing to being there. Meeting planners are expecting that they're going to be able to get an idea of what you sound like in front of an audience and how you perform in front of an audience.
And in the old days, with the fancy demos we used to put together, they were very expensive, very time consuming, and now of course it is easier because you can, even as an emerging speaker, for example, I know many of your clients, we have a web page on your site before they develop their own websites, but they can certainly populate some of that video on YouTube.
It's very easy to create video now. It's more easy than ever, but one thing that I would encourage people to do is invest in a lapel mic. Yes. Because it really does make a difference in the type of impression that you are giving to a meeting planner when they're watching that video. Using a lapel mic when you're being videotaped makes it much more professional. Really, nothing seems more amateur when you're looking at a video than a soundtrack that plays as if it were recorded in an echo chamber.
Good. So one, get a video, and I know one of my best-selling DVDs and one of my highest rated speeches that's in clips on my website and YouTube was from Toastmasters International. That was an expense-only engagement and probably one of the most highest impact free speeches that they gave me the recording. Perfect. Second way we get compensated.
Second tip I have is to ask the meeting planner to buy your product, and that can be a book, a CD, a resource kit. And the reason that that often works is because many meeting planners or many organizations may not have the budget to bring in a speaker, but they might have a training budget. And in my experience in dealing with many different and companies that are looking for speakers, I often find that clients who don't have room in the budget for speakers do have various other budgets for the events that they're putting on. And the training budget really allows the event planners to use money on any resources that it can be used to help their attendees. So the companies, these nonprofits, various other organizations that bring in speakers can spend millions of dollars every year on training their employees or volunteers in their respective fields. And that means that there's millions of dollars floating around being spent on training costs. So why not offer training resources?
Good. In fact, one time I was speaking for a Kaiser group, full fee, and it was booked fairly late. And I said, well, would you like to give everyone my book? Well, they had no money left, but she said, I'll take it out of the, I'll take it out in the shrimp. So everyone got 2 less shrimp, but they got my book. Perfect. All right, so marketing, another budget, 3.
Yes, third tip. Request a testimonial on the organization's letterhead. Meeting planners, there's no cost to the meeting planner, and it's a very easy risk for them to take is to give you a testimonial on their letterhead, and you can make the deal with them, give you a testimonial if they are satisfied. So even the very top paid professional speakers will often donate their services in exchange for a testimonial that helps their portfolio. And the more experienced you become, the more recognized and wanted you become for other engagements. And what's interesting is that an organization's competitors often want the same speakers because they don't want to feel like they're missing out. If one organization brings in Fripp, their competitor wants to know what this Fripp lady has to share that might be valuable for everybody. So it's really always important that you get endorsements and testimonials. So offer to speak at the venue for free under the condition that if the planner is satisfied with your presentation, they will write a testimonial for you. And be very clear that you don't expect anything from them if they aren't thrilled. So think about this for a minute. How much does a meeting planner really expect from a free speaker? The chances are that they're expecting a lot less than you'll be delivering. So it's likely that even if your presentation doesn't knock their socks off, the planner will feel obligated to put in a few kind words about you in writing. And testimonials are really a great way to convince others that you have performed well in the past and will perform well for future engagements.
And it works both ways. I have been booked for national conventions and then everybody wants you for the state chapters. Or with other times, you start at a state chapter or a regional area and you do well, and those references get you up to the bigger meetings. So it does work both ways.
Yeah, and when other people say you're good, it means a lot more than you saying that you're great.
Yeah, now let me bring up something, because there are times that you are going to be talking to a prospect and perhaps they haven't read your references, and this is what I'm going to encourage you to do. If someone says, Patricia, why are you the right speaker for our meeting? And I say, well, I don't know that I am. However, if you were to talk to Dan Maddox, the executive director of the American Payroll Association, he would tell you, we have been hiring Patricia Fripp every year since 1996 because she is the best, most versatile, hassle-free speaker. So you see, you have to use the words of someone else as if you had your satisfied client on the call or in the conversation with you. So good. Next idea, Brian.
Fourth tip. Ask for a write-up in the organization's newsletter or on their website. Almost every type of organization, including businesses, educational institutions, nonprofit organizations, religious congregations, just about any organization you can imagine, sends out newsletters or has something posted on their website to keep people involved and interested in what's going on with that organization. And whether it's employees, customers, or an organization's members who read it, you can get some really nice exposure, and it's a good way to reach others who might be looking for speakers. And if you speak in one of those organizations, ask to be included in their newsletter, and preferably they will include an article that you write with your byline and your contact information, and that's at a minimum, because ask them to include a feature about you at a minimum, and ask them to tell about the talk that you will be doing or have already done. And you'd really be surprised at how vast some mailing lists are and how many people read the articles that are on them. It's a great way to spread your name and your mission, and it could lead to more engagements and publicity for you in the future. And let's face it, in the professional speaking industry, publicity is imperative. You never know who the newsletter is going to reach. You never know who's going to be looking at a website. One of the readers may need you someday and realize it just as they're clearing out their old papers from their desk in 2 years.
This is, now it's more common. At beginning, I would always say to clients that book me, look, I am not a celebrity. However, if you want to direct your potential attendees to my website when they see exactly who I am, what I've done, the success, some videos, it will probably help you increase your attendance at the conference. And of course, you want other people to be going to your website. And it is a service which you can also, even if you're speaking for free, make a video promoting your session at their great conference. And then they have a really vested interest to link to you. Back to you, Bryan.
Okay. Tip number 5, use business cards to your advantage. Almost everybody has a business card. So how do you use yours to help gain publicity? When you accept an engagement for free, tell the planner that you'll do so under the condition that they place a business card on every seat in the room. And that way, when people sit down and listen to you speak and like you, I'm assuming you're good at what you do, otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it. They'll pick up your card and they'll keep it with them for future reference. It's something very simple, but it's a way to get your card. And next time somebody needs a speaker, or they know somebody who needs a speaker, guess whose business card they have without ever needing to meet you one-on-one. And they have they'll have all your contact information in their Rolodex or online, but it's just a way to get your information in front of them.
Good. And I will remind everyone, if you have short, specific questions, you can send them in, and Paul will read them at the appropriate time. And at the very beginning, if you're speaking at Rotary clubs in your own area, and one technique I tell everyone, just tell everyone you know that you're available to give speeches. And maximizing, Bryan's talking about business cards on every seat, which is great. Now, being a shameless self-promoter that I am, I would say on your seat you found my business card. If you would, or if you know someone, actually you can tell them what to do with that card. And in the Rotary club, I would always make a point of introducing myself toward the visiting Rotarians and say, if you like my speech, please give my card to your program chair. Because as an emerging speaker, you don't realize that the toughest job of any organization, like service clubs at the Chamber of Commerce, is to find a free speaker for next Thursday. They are looking for you. You have to make it easy to find you. All right, Bryan, back to you.
Okay, tip number 6, use your audience as a source for leads. If you are looking to increase your speaking engagements, one of the most popular ways to do so is through networking and word of mouth. So asking friends or others if they know of anyone who requires an engagement speaker can be it can be tough. It gets tedious. But next time you're giving a speech for free, use the audience to help give you referrals. And this is what I mean by that. The first thing you want to do is let the audience know that you're doing this job pro bono. And when they hear that, they'll wonder why you'd be willing to do such a thing. So you can explain to them that you have an evaluation that you would really appreciate them filling out. And in the evaluation form, which you could also put on every seat, or you can hand out when everybody comes in the room or when they leave the room, you'll ask them to rate you as a speaker. Many people are going to be willing to give you constructive feedback on your presentation. And once you have people drawn into your survey, you can include a question regarding whether they know anybody who is looking for speakers. And it also helps if you can promise a reward for any referrals that lead to more business. And in addition to the referral section on your handout, include a section for people to sign up for your internet newsletter or online e-zine, because there you can keep them up to date with your speaking engagements and booking opportunities, and they have a way to stay in touch with you. And again, it will keep you at the top of their mind when they're looking for a speaker. Also, when you're getting referrals, ask for names, phone numbers, and mailing addresses. I think email addresses are great. I think that they also tend to be overused. People may look at them as spam. It's easy for somebody to just delete an email, but I'm a big believer in following up with postal mail, so I recommend that you get their mailing address so you can send something to them in the mail, and nobody ever asks to be removed from a mailing list.
All right, good. Wonderful. Moving along.
Number 7, tip number 7, don't give out notes. So this is an unusual one. I hear speakers a lot want to hand out notes. Obviously, you're giving some great content and you want people to walk away with the great information that you have. But when you're speaking, I recommend that you don't give out any handouts or notes. What you can do is let people know how they can get that information. They can still get those notes or handouts, but they'll need to go to your website or send you an email. You want to encourage them to get back in touch with you so that you can stay in touch with them.
Good. You can take every phone off the hook and somehow they still get to you. All right, so next idea.
Okay, and well, something else that goes along with that real quick is handing out material like a giveaway. So, for example, one speaker that I know gives out little mirrors that have her contact information printed on the little plastic frame, and the frames are made to attach to the wall of a cubicle. She speaks to customer service professionals who spend their days in a cubicle, and part of her message is that people can actually hear you smile over the phone. So she encourages people to look at themselves in a mirror while they're speaking on the phone. And so it makes that little gift purposeful, and of course, people have her contact information in front of them.
Perfect. I'm smiling at you, Bryan. And more important, I'm smiling at our attendees. Paul, perhaps you can tell us if there are any questions at this point?
Yes, there are. The first question is for Sharuk. And actually, Sharuk and Marie asked the same question. Yes. Is there a particular type of lapel mic that Bryan recommends?
I don't necessarily have any recommendations for a brand. I don't know that much about them. I got one off of Amazon. I just looked for the ratings to see which one was a good one. But the one that I did get hooks up to my iPhone, and it has a special connector to hook up to my computer also. So I would recommend that you have something that works for both. The iPhone is a great video device.
All right. And then from Mike Walkshall, he asks, is there a lavalier microphone that you suggest?
The same thing. This is a lavalier mic.
Okay, excellent. And then James Feldman, he says during his speaking engagements he has 2 kinds of business cards, one that is standard and the other is a small brochure that he sells for a charity. Everyone loves that and the chutzpah of selling a business card and then engages in contribution to a worthwhile cause. That's more of a statement than a question. And then, Patricia, for you, how often do you speak a month, and how many years have you been speaking? This comes from Brenda Carlos.
Well, Brenda, I first got paid to speak in 1976-77. I went full-time in 1984. And at that point in my career, I was a keynote speaker. And in the heyday of my career, and I believe the National Speakers Association, I delivered as many as 100, 120 keynotes a year. Now, what happened is, as stages in your career, it's evolved. So I would do more smaller groups. I do more training and helping executives with their presentations. So my business looks very different than it did when I was primarily a keynote speaker. And just know, it certainly appears to me that I'm working all the time. It just, there are different ways to get compensated. For example, my Fripp virtual training, which is interactive, learn at your own speed, which is great for speakers and great for executives and sales teams and anyone you train to speak, because all learning needs repetition and reinforcement. So I'm focusing on that. And I believe James Feldman asked, I saw at the bottom, do I still speak for nothing? Is that right, Paul?
That is correct. That was another question that he put in.
So yes, I do speak for nothing. In fact, Paul, if you can bring up a poll, because we invited people from the National Speakers Association as well as Brian Liss and Lady and the Champs attendees, how many of our, and even if you consider yourself an emerging speaker, you can still say I'm an emerging speaker and get paid. So I'd be very curious to know how many people do get paid to speak, if you can bring that poll up. Yes, Jim. For example, I speak at Toastmaster conferences. My partnership with Darren and Craig and Ed in World Champions Edge and our Lady in the Champs conference we'll tell you about, these are rock stars in Toastmasters. And speaking at a regional conference, for example, Chicago, they do a fabulous job with it. And I have made from learning materials and selling Fripp VT more than some of my corporate clients have paid me for a presentation. So it isn't actually a free speech. So with that, while you're bringing up that poll, let's go back to Bryan and pick up on your advice.
Okay, we're on tip number 8. And you probably have something to contribute to this one, Ms. Fripp, but I recommend that people sell their products and services before, during, and after the speech. And this one probably doesn't even need to be on the list, but some speakers fail to understand that speaking is always about selling. You can speak for free, sure, but let your audience know that you are more than a speaker. So you don't need to do a hard sell, and I don't even think you need to do a soft sell, but you should clearly communicate that you are an expert, and you want to make it clear that you earn money in ways other than speaking. And no matter what you speak on, you should have a consulting fee. If someone wants to get your professional advice, be prepared to offer it for a fee. I'm not saying that you shouldn't answer questions for free, but there's nothing wrong with working out a day of consulting every once in a while. And if you have resources that can be purchased at the back of the room, you have to be sure that you ask for permission from the venue coordinator in advance before you make any kind of a sales pitch from the platform or from the stage. Any kind of audio or data CD, a resource kit, even a DVD of previous speeches can be something that you sell at the back of the room. So some items can cost very little to produce, but you can actually sell them for a substantial amount of money because of the content that you are delivering through that. But I know that people have some very strong opinions about pitching from the stage. I just want you to be sure that you understand that you should be communicating that you are an expert and that you're earning money in ways other than speaking.
And you can have in your introduction, remember, you write your introduction, don't trust anyone else. And when somebody says, Brenda is an expert in negotiations, and we did an incredible job negotiating, getting her to speak at our Chamber of Commerce. So then you can say, as you heard in my introduction, this is how I make my living. However, as I recommend we all do, we contribute back to our communities. So somebody else lets them know you get paid, and then within your presentation you give case histories of how you helped one of your clients negotiate this. So you're reinforcing. Now, you were talking about, certainly about products at the back of the room or free sell. If it is a corporation, you're going to resell. If it is an association, then these are individual people who have their own businesses that will walk over and spend money. However, you do not have to, you do have to ask permission. And Darren LaCroix, my partner in Lady and the Champs, he always suggests that you not only write an introduction, you write an outro. And this means, what do they say when you finish speaking? And it's a lot easier to say, Darren, that was an incredible product, and we know that you are interested in his subject. Darren, will you come back and tell people what they might want to take advantage of? So that person is inviting you up. Now, you can also share a revenue with that. I know with some organizations that allow me and help set it up, then you'll donate 20% of your sales back to their favorite charity. There are lots of ways to make this more appealing. And I recommend always that you give to the audience prizes for their participation, which of course, and then I'll say, well, if you weren't lucky enough to win this book, guess what? They're at the back of the room. So you can make a little fun about it. Remember, if they do not like what you deliver to them, they won't be interested. If you give plenty more. And Nido Qubein, the master, in upselling, he'd always say, been a wonderful audience, and I feel very frustrated. Because there is so much more I could tell you, and that's introducing them to what else, whether it's buy everything in my program. And Nido, by collecting business cards, sells $1,000 packet by collecting cards and not taking anything there. However, it's all built on giving value. So back to you, Bryan. Oh no, sorry, Paul, how many of our participants listening in get paid with money?
That would be 61% currently get paid to speak.
Now, isn't that interesting, Bryan? And this is a great statistic. So 88% consider them emerging, yet even the emerging speakers are making fees. That's very exciting.
So most people are still getting, the ones that are getting paid tend to get paid a little bit. So yes.
Good.
That kind of leads into my next tip.
Good.
Talking about getting paid. You can use free speaking for tax advantages. Now, I'm not an accountant or a CPA, so don't take this as official tax advice. But when you are making a speech to a nonprofit organization, you can actually use your speaking fee to your advantage for tax purposes. For example, say that your normal fee is $1,000 per venue. If you're speaking for an organization that the government deems to be subject to charitable contributions deductions, and this organization doesn't offer a speaking fee, you can comp the organization the $1,000 fee. So in essence, you're speaking for free, but that $1,000 comp you just gave the organization is now tax deductible as a charitable contribution deduction. And the deduction for the charity is capped off at a certain percentage, which is about 1 free in every 20 speeches. And you also want to make sure that your rate is consistent and you can't just make up a going rate based on where you're speaking. So if you claim that your going rate is $250,000, you're probably going to get an audit and jail time. So be careful.
All right. Well, at this point, if you don't mind, Bryan, I'm going to give you a 2-minute break because we have been talking about the next time that we get together, which is we will be at Lady and the Champs. So I would like Paul to ask our audience, set up a poll if they're familiar with Lady and the Champs. And I'm going to take you over and show you. You should be looking at the Lady and the Champs Speakers Conference schedule. Can you see that, Paul?
Absolutely.
So I did everything right. Good.
Yes.
And in case you're not familiar with delivering web meetings and you're changing screens, here's a tip. It's always good to check with your moderator that what you think the audience sees, they really do. Lady and the Champs is my collaboration, of course, with the World Champions. We have a partnership, and this year Robert Fripp, my brother, who is an internationally acclaimed guitarist from the band King Crimson, according to Rolling Stone magazine, the 42nd best guitarist in the history of the world. However, he is very articulate. This is, I don't know if this is the 7th or 8th year we have our convention in Las Vegas, February 28th and the 1st of March. So you can see we have an action-packed, we have for every keynote, and then we have 3 breakout sessions going on at the same time. And we always find that this focuses on your speaking skills. Some of the sessions focus on how will you market yourself, guerrilla marketing, and here on the first day, 3:20 to 4:20, there's our expert panel. Bryan will be speaking, Russell Trahan, and many of you were on my call with Russell a couple of days ago, and we are there to help you get more speaking requests, get more speaking leads, how to maximize them. Russell, of course, is an expert on PR. So this is an action-packed and fun program. There are 2 other items you need to be very aware of. Many of our listeners are part of World Champions Edge, which is our community, and the day before Lady and the Champs, we have a members-only Edge Summit that we do have some scheduled areas. However, the members tell us what they want. And if you have never even heard of World Champions Edge, what I'm going to recommend you do is go down on that page, the Edge Summit, and click on World Champions Edge. You can sign up for 1 month for $1 to find out about our services, which makes you welcome and qualified to come to the 3rd day. And we're going to recommend that you do that. We always know we're going to get a lot of new members before Lady and the Champs. Now, so not only do you have the Lady and the Champs, a chance to come to the Edge Summit, I want to bring to your attention, now this is if you go to Lady and the Champs Conference, and I promise you at the end of this call, we have a special offer for you, and Paul is going to put up a box where you can click on and go straight there. As a friend of SpeakersMatch, and don't you dare tell the champs I said this, but December the 31st was the last day of the last price. In other words, January the 1st, the price went up $100. By clicking on and using SpeakersMatch as your coupon code, you're going to save $100 and get the December price. But as I say, don't tell the champs. They don't know what I come on the air and tell our friends. Now, let's just say you are signed in from another country, or you already have plans, or whatever. Then you can watch this conference. There's nothing like being there for the networking, but if you happen to be out of the country on the East Coast, you have something else going on, or you really can't buy another airline ticket, you can register and see us streaming live. Not only do you see all the sessions that are in the main general session, and we have one breakout in that room, afterwards you get access to a page where you can replay all the videos that we're streaming live and videos of all the other breakout sessions put on your page for 1 year for $197. What a great opportunity. So with that, Paul, while I come back to my screen, would you like to tell us how many people are familiar with Lady and the Champs?
Yes, 60% are familiar with Lady and the Champs, and of course that means 40% are not.
Good. Well, we hope you will check out the website and get driven for the link that Paul puts up at the end of this. Do we have any more quick specific questions we should introduce to Bryan before we ask him to finish his comments?
Yes, just a few. How many speakers do you have in your database compared to meeting planners looking for speakers?
Oh, good question.
So we have thousands of meeting planners in our database. We have thousands of meeting planners that are coming to our site every month. So many of those people are not even in the database. We just have visitors that are coming to check out our speakers. The proportion of meeting planners is very high compared to the number of speaker members that we have.
And as one of your members, even as I know I haven't clicked on them all, but one of my emails this morning, 5 leads for you. So it really is a great service, especially if you still have a day job and you want leads sent to you. Good. So back to your advice. How can we get compensated beyond getting a fee?
Okay, tip number 10, have the meeting planner invite you back. A great way to get future engagements that pay is to work out a deal with a venue that is having you speak for free. Let them know that you are more than willing to speak at their venue for free, assuming that if they like you, they will bring you back and pay you for an upcoming engagement. It's kind of like a money-back guarantee in reverse. You have to earn the money before they give it to you. It provides incentives for both the meeting planner and you as a speaker to enter the agreement, and assuming that you perform well, everybody should be happy in the long run. Just make sure that you iron out the details of the possible future engagement in advance. The organization really holds the upper hand here, but a written agreement would make your life a lot easier.
Very good.
Okay, tip number 11. How about a free weekend? So sometimes event planners are not willing to pay for a speaking fee, but they are willing to fly you in, wine and dine you, and show you a good time. And it's a great way to be compensated even though you are speaking for free. So if you have a meeting planner that can pay for any travel, lodging, and meal costs for you, that can be a big benefit. It can be a nice way to be compensated, and it can't hurt to ask somebody if they're willing to pay for your spouse's transportation or significant other to come join you and cover their meals as well. Sometimes they're willing to pay lodging but not other expenses because they're it's a great way to get a free trip and a vacation. And in addition, you can often use the vacation itself as a business expense because you can speak at an event or speak at a venue on, say, a Friday and then spend the rest of the weekend doing some touristy things. and you can write off the whole weekend as a business expense for tax purposes. Again, I'm not a tax professional.
Talk to your accountant, CPA.
I am not an accountant, but I hear that that is a possibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
And after I have a great example and tip to maximize that when you finish, that our listeners would want to hang on because it's a magic phrase.
Okay. We have one left. So the 12th tip, and this is a really good one. Ask for a professional photo shoot. Again, it's kind of like a professional video. It can be very expensive. A professional photo shoot in some cases can be even more expensive than a professional video, and it's often an overlooked opportunity that has a lot of inherent value. You need great photos for your one sheet, for your website, for your media kit, and other publicity vehicles that you might have. If you're writing articles and you're posted online, there's often a byline with a photo, and you don't have to have the same photo everywhere. Many people have the same photo everywhere, but if you have the opportunity to have a professional photo shoot, then you have some variety that you can access. And here is a tip that a lot of the professionals know. You want to get some good 3/4 shots, and that's 3/4 audience and 1/4 you. The idea is not to show only the audience size, but show audience reaction. And those are the images that really sell to a meeting planner. They're very important to have in your promotional materials, and I highly recommend that you get that done if at all possible. So if you're going to speak at a venue for free, that's a great opportunity to get that that 3/4 shot. There are very talented photographers that can be found in almost any group you can think of, and it's very easy to access the professional quality photo equipment as well.
Good. Paul, I would like you to put another poll up, please. I'd like to know if our audience is familiar with SpeakersMatch. In other words, were they familiar with SpeakersMatch before they came onto our call? And before my whammo-zammo, great piece of advice, and we answer some more questions, Bryan, just give me a snapshot of SpeakersMatch.
Well, SpeakersMatch is basically a lead service for speakers. We have jobs for speakers. Meeting planners can come to our website and see your speaker profile if you're a member, and they can post an open call for speakers. They can post a job that is available to all of our members. Most speakers, however, get a request directly from the meeting planner. So meeting planners can find your profile and ask for your information directly. And most speakers are getting booked that way. A meeting planner will do some searching. They may go to a search engine and look for a sales speaker in Los Angeles. They find the SpeakersMatch website or find your specific page. They eventually find your page somehow, and then they can ask for information from you directly and invite you to be be a speaker at their event.
Also, you have some great teleseminars, because I know probably in your archives you have about 10 of Fripp. So yes. You educate the emerging speaker as well.
We do our best. We want to help speakers be successful. So the truth is that most speakers fail at launching a speaking business. About 31 out of every 32 speakers that try to launch a speaking business fail within the first year. That's a statistic that I got from Bert Dubin several years ago. He is a veteran in the speaking industry. Yeah. He said that he has kept that statistic up to date for decades, and it hasn't changed much. So it is very unlikely that you are going to be successful. I want you to still be a customer, so that means that we want to do whatever we can to help you be successful. We offer a continuing education series in the form of teleseminars. We have a regular teleseminar series where we have at least a monthly teleseminar with an expert from the speaking industry or from business in general that can give you some advice in building a successful speaking business or a sustainable speaking business. And we have all kinds of materials that you'll get online through your email as well.
Yeah. So, Paul, just as a matter of interest, how many of our friends were familiar with SpeakersMatch before they came in?
That would be 69% of the attendees.
Oh, didn't know? Good. Well, again, we have 31% who did not know. Wonderful. Are there any more questions, Paul, before I give them the great line they must know?
Absolutely. There's a few questions left. Bryan, what is the most common topic meeting planners are looking for?
That's a great question. What we say is that the most common topic is motivational, inspirational, but that's not really a topic. It's just what meeting planners are asking for the most. Most of the time, when I'm talking to a meeting planner, they don't know exactly what they're looking for. They can tell me all about their audience. They can tell me the demographics, that there are this many men and this many women. They can tell me what the occupation is of the people in attendance, and they can even tell me the theme of the event. But what they usually tell me is that they would like a speaker that is appropriate for our audience. And they want somebody who is motivational, inspirational, somebody that is entertaining and is not going to put their audience to sleep. Somebody that's not going to hold on to the lectern for dear life or read off PowerPoint slides. So if you are a speaker trying to sell yourself to a meeting planner, especially if you're an emerging speaker, at this level where you're not earning a great deal of money for most of your speeches, it is the opportunity is there for you to promote yourself and let a meeting planner know why you are the ideal candidate for them.
And I would suggest that that is really the wrong question, because it doesn't matter what people are asking for. You can only apply for engagements that you would be perfect. So be very clear. You get paid for what you know, a unique life experience. You get paid well for delivering it well, which is why you want as many engagements as possible to hone your skills. And I would suggest that even an economist can be motivational. They can be inspiring. It is the manner of how you deliver your remarks. More questions, Paul?
Yes, actually, does Bryan take Scottish speakers?
We tend to do most of our business in the United States. So if you are a Scottish speaker and you're speaking in the United States, then we have opportunities for you.
And if you live in Scotland, don't forget you can stream Lady and the Champ Speakers Conference. Good. Another question, Paul?
Yes, let's see here. For Bryan from David, what percentage of bookings would a member of SpeakersMatch expect?
That varies based on who you are, what your topic is, what area of the country you're in, what your speaking fee is. So there is no way to tell you or guarantee any certain type of return on your investment in the way of actual bookings that you engage. Some speakers are very successful and they book very regularly, and I have some speakers that have been on for a very long time that have not turned anything into a booked paying engagement.
And for Lady and the Champs, you always bring your friend Dave Sheffield, who is in fact a paid professional speaker, who always, along with you, always helps people know how to maximize, how to follow up, what to do with the leads. Because the lead is the first part. It's what you do with it and how you might write your page so it would attract more people. And you have to be very specific with what is the benefit to the group to engage you. And all these questions, of course, you and Russell and I will be handling in our expert panel. That's Lady and the Champs Conference. And another question, Paul?
Yes, what is the cost of SpeakersMatch, becoming a SpeakersMatch member?
Our service starts at $9.99 every 4 weeks, and we have packages that go all the way up to $799 per year. You can go to SpeakersMatch.com/special to see information about our packages.
Good. And I know that someone will talk to them on the phone if they want to have a conversation. You're very customer friendly and answer people questions.
Yes, our number's at the top of every page of our site.
Good. How many more questions, Paul?
There are a few for you, and then there's one or two that are slightly off subject. But for you from Sharuk, what is the difference between motivation and inspiration?
Well, I would say motivational, and this I don't see that much difference, but I know how different people have suggested. Motivational is encouraging people that they can make more of themselves, and I believe it's part of how you deliver your message. Many inspirational speakers are inspirational because of their life experience as a model for others.
All right, and then how do you get people to not be on their cell phones constantly during a presentation?
By being so engaging. Now, at the beginning of my presentation, I bring up, it's the sound of cell phones and the voice, and it says, turn off your cell phones. And what I will do is I will say, I know you're going to have your cell phone on. Turn down the sound, because I'm going to ask them to tweet this. So tweet #LadyChamps15 and some of the advice that you heard. And I guarantee you, Melanie, who is my director of social media, will have already been tweeting all the advice that Bryan gave with that hashtag. So, any more, or shall I give them the whammo-zammo idea?
I think the whammo-zammo idea will be good timing.
And remember, Bryan is very happy, and his staff are very happy to answer your questions. And Paul, you might want to bring up our pop-up box now, so people can see where they would go and use a coupon code for Lady and the Champs. This will only be up really for till the end of the week, so you have to take action fast and use SpeakersMatch to get the December price. Bryan, you have been very generous with your information. I thank you. I look forward to having our action-packed panel at Lady and the Champs. And this last piece of advice is following up from just what Bryan said when you were talking about hotel rooms. Early in my career, it was my first year full-time. Now, I've been speaking a lot before. I had an established business, and somebody heard me speak for free at NACE, National Association of Catering Executives, because if you can get in front of any group that is in the hospitality industry, if you're halfway decent, you will get leads. And she heard me there and called my office, and my assistant told her how much I charge, and she said, honestly, I've seen Patricia, and she's worth every penny, and we don't have it. So Maria put her through to me, and I said, let's not give up so easily. What else could you give me? And this situation was, this was a beautiful boutique hotel in Berkeley, which is across the bridge from San Francisco. They had just bought and renovated a conference center, and they were having a conference for 150 meeting planners. Now, who do I want to speak for? 150 meeting planners 15 miles from my home. Hello? And she said, how would you like a suite? So this is what we ended up. My brother and I had our own suites in this beautiful boutique hotel for 5 days. They had a gourmet chef. We had breakfast, lunch, and dinner there. Every day invited our friends in. If you added up what that would have cost, it was more than my fee. Another time, a woman called me. She said, I hear you're the best speaker in the world. I said, you hear right. She said, I'm from Women in Travel. Would you speak at our installation for officers in 2 weeks? So I looked at my calendar, saw I was available 2 weeks out. And I said, do you have any money? She said, not that much. And I said, I'll tell you what, I don't need the practice. Now write this down. I don't need the practice, and I'm not doing it for nothing. However, I will take soft dollars. That means a trade. I will take soft dollars. What I want you to do is go away and come back with the best offer you can make me. And I'll say yes or no. She came back the next day and said, would you take a free first class round trip airline ticket to London? I said, you negotiator, you. That was worth a lot more than my speaking fee. And this is the secret. If you ask for something and they offer something that is easy for them to give but has high value to you, plus you get to practice your skills, you get to expose to a new audience, you can use all these other marketing, the business cards, the connections, click to my website, do you have a photographer, everything, so much that you heard from Bryan. So yes, Jim Feldman, you bet there are many circumstances I still speak for nothing. And if you got a first class airline ticket for England for me, give me a call. So Bryan, thank you very much for your advice. I encourage everyone to check out SpeakersMatch, to check out Lady and the Champs, and I really encourage you to click on the I'm interested box on the right of the screen, and remember, get December's price, sign up today. At very least, check the conference. If you're out of the country, streaming live, no reason to miss it. So thank you, Bryan. Thank you, Paul. This is Patricia Fripp saying, I hope I'll see you at Lady and the Champs.